Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I'm seeing over the last several years, as a result of the Mike Brown situation that happened in St. Louis, Missouri with the police, and of course the George Floyd tragedy in Minnesota, you're starting to see a lot of nonviolence, community-based, nonprofit, self-policing organizations pop up. As we know, Black Lives Matter was probably the biggest one nationally, and there have been several others. Well, I am not an advocate for self-policing. I do think that these nonviolence prevention programs can be an additive to our and aiding our police departments, but defunding our police departments, I think, is not the way to go. And you'll notice that the only area that's talking about defunding the police are our urban cities, our inner cities, and you're not hearing anything about defunding the police in our counties and or our suburbs. So this self-policing of poor people who have limited resources, I don't think that that's the appropriate way to go to have a healthy public safety community in our cities. So I'm not an advocate for defunding the police, but these nonviolence prevention programs can be an additive to help the police department. Well, when you have these nonprofits, and definitely if you're getting state and federal funds, you need to make sure you are dotting every I and crossing all your T's. And I'm starting to see, as the feds have opened Pandora's box going after entertainers and politicians, people that have fraudulently gotten money from the PPP loans. Also, the feds are going after these nonprofits, and folks are getting in trouble if they're not doing the appropriate right thing with the funds. And I got one for you. This story is about a guy who went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., who allegedly had a fraudulent nonprofit, and he used the charitable funds for personal use. So let's get into it. Georgetown graduate, nonprofit leader sued for alleged fraudulent use of charity funds. The Washington, D.C. Attorney General filed a lawsuit against a Georgetown University graduate and founder of a local anti-police brutality nonprofit called Rahim AI for allegedly misusing more than $75,000 of charitable funds and violating labor laws back in November 25th of 2024. Attorney General Brian Schwab is suing both the organization and its founder, Brandon Anderson, for reportedly diverting over $75,000 of the nonprofit's funds to finance personal expenses, which included luxury vacation rental services, a Cancun resort stay, designer clothing, and emergency veterinarian care. The charges also involve Rahim AI's failure to pay tens of thousands of dollars in back pay to its deputy director, Jasmine Banks, who was then forced to sign an illegal non-compete clause. Now remember, the nonprofit is called Rahim AI. The guy that runs it, his name is Brandon Anderson. The lawsuit aims to dissolve Rahim AI as a nonprofit, compensate banks with damages and back pay, prohibited Anderson from leading any other DC nonprofit, recover the fraudulent used funds, and redirect those funds to other charities and nonprofit organizations. In a written statement to the New York Times, Anderson said he takes most of the blame for the failure of Rahim AI, but believes there is a lack of context to the charges. This is where you get a play on words. It's easy to assign failure to one cause or another in hindsight, and individual expenditures are easy to mischaracterize without the burden of context, Anderson said in a statement. The bottom line is simply that it didn't work. And as the leader of that effort, I share most of the blame. In a press release, Attorney General Schwab said that he condemns the corruption within Rahim AI and its failure to comply with nonprofit and workers' rights laws. Brandon Anderson misused charitable donations to fund a lavish lifestyle and vacations and shopping sprees, and the Rahim AI board of directors let him get away with it. Not only did their financial abuse violate fundamental principles of nonprofit governance, but Anderson and Rahim AI failed to pay their employees the wages they had earned. So he's taking the money, allegedly, and using it for personal expenses and doing the things he wants to do, and he's not paying the people that work for his charity. Rahim AI collects crowdsourced data. This is what the nonprofit is supposed to be doing. Rahim AI collects crowdsourced data on local police performance and interactions, aiming to make it easier for residents to report police misconduct and use it to publish reports on the efficacy of police services in particular areas, primarily these urban areas. However, the software was unsuccessful due to logistical reasons, and not all police departments accept complaints online. So there was not an accurate streamline for him collecting this data in an accurate way because many of the police departments are not even online like that. He should have known that before he even went out and started this nonprofit, that there has to be a streamline for this data to get to the police departments and to the communities, so we can have something to talk about. Anderson, a tech entrepreneur and Georgetown graduate, founded Rahim AI in honor of his life partner, Rahim X. Now listen to this, because there's some controversy on how he even came up with the name Rahim AI. This is one of the reasons I'm doing this story, because there's some interesting caveats here that make you go, So here again, Anderson is a tech entrepreneur and a Georgetown graduate, smart guy, founded Rahim AI in honor of his life partner, Rahim X, who was killed by an Oklahoma police officer in 2007 during a routine traffic stop. In his view, the absence of official complaints against police officers is a contributing factor to the persistence of police brutality. So he's trying to set up a nonprofit that shows statistical data on how much police brutality is taking place, give it to the police department, and make them accountable for the bad seeds that are in their department. However, reports about Rahim X claim that he may not have existed, discovering no records of his specific identity. So, Anderson's boyfriend, Rahim X, allegedly got killed by an Oklahoma police officer in 2007. However, upon trying to find this information out, which, everything is digital, a push of a button, information comes so fast now, they're saying that this story of his boyfriend being killed by a police officer, which made him decide to do this Rahim, this AI, the Rahim AI nonprofit, which precipitated him creating this Rahim AI nonprofit based on his boyfriend getting killed, Rahim X. They're saying the story is made up. After the murder of George Floyd in 2020, which brought international attention to police brutality against people of color, Rahim AI, listen to this, received $4.3 million in donations from those passionate about criminal justice reform. Sam Chang said he is concerned about corruption within the progressive movement and its impact on the credibility of progressive organizations, including past perceptions of Black Lives Matter, BLM, a social movement against police brutality and systematic racism. And mind you, remember, allegedly Black Lives Matter raised almost $100 million and it's gone. It reminds me of how a lot of people saw BLM, like how the Black Lives Matter president used the organization's donations to buy a mansion in California, in LA, and in Atlanta. Chang told the Hoya. It's really unfortunate. I think it reinforces a lot of people's, like independents or Republicans or whatever you call them, thoughts against leftist causes. Yinji Yun said she was disappointed by the disparity between Raheem AI's mission and its impact. It's just disappointing because in DC, there's so many nonprofits and progressive organizations that try to fundraise for a good cause. So when you hear something like this, it's kind of defeating or deflating. Yun told the Hoya. It feels defeating to think that even though there are efforts being made, there are still setbacks within the progressive organizations that aim to help the general public. Chang said the co-opting of leftist causes by corrupt individuals make it difficult for the progressive movement to achieve collective process. People who are actually invested or who authentically care about these issues like police brutality, their overall mission is thwarted because of this corruption. I think it just sucks overall, Chang said. I think for the next 5 or 10 years, if nothing really gets done about this, then we will just see most likely a progressive movement that is weakened and being weakened almost every day. So what's the point to this story? Here's another individual, black male. There's race play in this. There's non-prevention gun violence programs. There's the harbinger of defunding the police, us policing ourselves. There is this scenario where a minority is trying to raise money. Like I say, there's race play. You got a minority with this organization, this Raheem AI, no different than Black Lives Matter. There's a minority presence even in the name Black Lives Matter. And of course, it's going up against the white establishment of the police departments. And so he was able to raise $4.3 million. And then when you have this race play, there's always an emotional connection to it. So people are donating money based on this whole spectrum of racism, the urban citizens against the white male police departments, which I don't think is necessarily true. We do have to bridge a gap and make sure that we get along in a much more appropriate fashion. Public safety is one of the top 3 issues that are taking place in America and in all our major cities throughout our country. Public safety is a real issue, and violence is not based on a zip code or the color of your skin. It can happen to anybody. Secondly, those individuals who are doing these nonprofits, you better make sure you dot every I and cross every T, because the federal government, if you're getting state and federal funds, will come and audit you and see what's going on. Tell me what you think about this situation of this Georgetown graduate who had this nonprofit right in Washington, D.C. called Raheem AI, and it is alleged that it was a fraudulent nonprofit, and now he's in a bit of trouble. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.